Thank you very much, Hans, and welcome everyone to this webinar. A short word about ourselves. My name is Maarten Kuipers. I'm a senior consultant at Ecovis, a renewable energy and climate consultancy, and I'm joined here with my colleague Rob Winkel. Today's presentation is about the winter package, the proposals in the winter package, and the relation to e-mobility and the use of electricity in transport. The winter package was issued end of last year and is a set of legislative proposals that the European Commission has put forward in order to design its energy policy for the next years, maybe up to 2030. In this particular presentation, we will look at how is the use of electricity in transport stimulated currently and also in the proposals as part of the winter package. It will be 15 minutes of presentation time, followed by 15 minutes of discussion and question and answer. I request you to please think of questions during the presentation and feel free to ask them at the end. Some ideas of what we will look at today. The first section, we will provide you with an overview of the policies that stimulate the use of alternative fuels and electricity in transport. In the second part, we will look at specifically at the proposal for the Renewable Energy Directive as part of the winter package and what will be the main changes that we see compared to the current Renewable Energy Directive. And in the third part, we will look specifically at the accounting of electricity, the use of electricity in transport. So to give you an overview of the lay of the land of all the policies that currently apply to the use of alternative fuels and electricity in transport, and also to look at what is coming as part of the winter package, we've prepared this overview, and I will briefly discuss these particular directives with you. The Renewable Energy Directive is currently in place and will apply from 2010 to 2020. It is essentially a mandate to have a minimum of 10% renewable energy in transport in all member states by 2020. The Fuel Quality Directive is a directive that applies to the greenhouse gas performance of transport fuels. And the goal of this directive is to improve over the entire life cycle of the fuel the greenhouse gas performance. And it applies in 2020 where 6% greenhouse gas reduction should have been realized compared to the base year. Then the RED LUC directive. The RED LUC directive is an add-on to the Renewable Energy Directive where specifically the topic of indirect land use change is treated. What it does is it places a cap on crop-based biofuels within the targets in the Renewable Energy Directive and also introduces several double counting measures where, for instance, biofuels from waste-based feedstocks are double counted, and also electricity is more heavily counted towards the target. Another key directive is the Alternative Fuels Infrastructure Directive, which provides guidance to member states to develop their alternative fuel infrastructure. For instance, in the case of electricity, the directive stipulates that an appropriate number of charging points should be installed in all member states, and member states then have to turn that into concrete action within their own country. The CO2 emission standards for cars and vans is another key directive where essentially the fuel economy of vehicles is lowered over time. So the fuel economy is increased over time. Car manufacturers have to comply with this. And electric vehicles can earn super credits, which means that they more heavily count towards the target. These are what we see now are two directives that are part of the winter package. The first one being the EPBD, and the proposal for the EPBD as part of the winter package states that in 2025 all renovated non-residential buildings should have charging equipment installed in 10% of the parking spots that are available close to the building. The RED LUC directive, and this will be the main focus of the second part of the presentation, has also put forward new targets for renewable energy use in transport, and that will be the second part of the presentation. So now on to section 2. In this slide we explain what it is that in the proposal for the RED LUC as part of the winter package has been put forward with regards to how electricity but also other alternative forms of transport are counted towards the target. And to take you through the slide, I asked you to start on the left-hand side where we see for 2020 the combined targets for the Renewable Energy Directive and the RED LUC directive. So we see that there is a target of a minimum of 10% of renewable energy in transport, which should be filled by a maximum of 7% of crop-based biofuels. In addition, the remaining 3% should be filled by non-crop biofuels, hydrogen and renewable energy. Now in the RED LUC, these targets have slightly changed. We have moved to a maximum of 7% crop-based biofuels, which will decline over time to a maximum of 3.8% crop-based biofuels. And in addition, a mandate is put forward for non-crop-based biofuels or other alternative forms of energy in transport, which starts in 2021 at a minimum of 1.5% and then gradually grows toward 2030 to a minimum of 6.8%. Within these targets, so growing up to 6.8% in 2030, there are 3 subcategories proposed. The first subcategory, and this is the one at the bottom, which is capped at 1.7%, is biofuels from waste and residues, including, for instance, biofuels from used cooking oil. The second category is a sub-target, which is a minimum for the use of advanced biofuels, which biofuels are qualified as advanced biofuels can be found in Annex 9A of the proposal for the Renewable Energy Directive. And then a third category, which is actually the remainder of the target. So once we have these first 2 filled, the remainder of the target should be filled by renewable energy or renewable fuels from non-bio origin and waste-based fossil fuels. In essence, that means that the target for this last category can be anywhere between 1.5% or higher. So in conclusion, in the Renewable Energy Directive 2, electricity is part of the targets, and specifically it is part of the targets in the third subcategory of the new mandate for alternative fuels in transport. In the third section, we will look at how electricity is counted towards the obligations that member states have. And here we want to show you a little bit how it used to be counted and how it will now be counted. So from 2009 to 2016, in the original Renewable Energy Directive, the use of renewable electricity in road vehicles counted 2.5 times the energy content towards the target. And the rationale behind that was that electric vehicles are more efficient in their operation, around 2.5 times more than the use of internal combustion engines. So therefore, electricity was more strongly counted towards the target. In 2017 to 2020, the RED LUC directive came into place, which increased the amount of double counting that you could do for electricity used in road vehicles and also in rail transport. The idea here was that the RED LUC directive would like to further stimulate the use of alternative fuels that do not have an impact on land use. Electricity is one of them, so therefore the double counting for electricity in road vehicles went up from 2.5 to even 5% of the energy content, and for rail it went up to 2.5 times the energy content. Now in the proposal for the new renewable energy directive, the Commission has proposed to remove all double counting from renewable energy and to have it counted as one. Also, the renewable energy, renewable electricity used in the rail sector is no longer counting towards the target. In the old renewable energy directive, the obligation on fulfilling the mandate was placed on the member states, who then in turn had to turn that into national legislation. In the new proposal for the renewable energy directive, the obligation will be placed on the fuel suppliers, and they will have to report directly to the member states or the European Commission. So this is a slight change in how the actual reporting is being done, and the structure of reporting is still under development at the European Commission and also at member state level. So this concludes my presentation on how in the winter package electricity in transport is stimulated. Also how specifically in the renewable energy directive electricity would have a place as part of the alternative fuel mandate. And I would now like to open the floor up to any questions from the audience or any discussion points that you would like to raise as part of this presentation. Thank you.